Welcome back, crocheters. Today I'm going to share with you guys how to crochet your very own poppy. So for this project, you will need your black and red yarn, a crochet hook, a safety pin, or a bar pin. You will also need stitch markers. Only 4. You only need 4. And then your yarn needle and scissors. So I actually made 2 different sample sizes. So I have this larger one here, which I used a size 3 for the yarn weight. And then I also used the cotton flare for the smaller poppy. Now the larger one measures in at about 4.5 inches wide, and then the smaller one is about 3.5 inches wide. For this video, I'm actually going to be using the number 3 weight yarn. So this poppy is actually inspired by Asta Lott's 3-petal poppy. I didn't want 3 petals, I wanted 4 petals, and then I also wanted the petals to be slightly higher at the tips, so I made variations on that as well. I will post her link in the description and you can check out her pattern. And I'm going to be starting with the black. To start this pattern, we're going to start with a magic ring. So I'm just going to grab my yarn and I'm just going to yarn over my fingers 2 times, just like so. And I'm going to grab my hook and I'm just going to go under, over, and then I'm just going to pull through and slightly twist as I come back up. And then I'm just going to grab my working yarn and I'm just going to create a slip stitch. Now I'm going to work 16 double crochets into my magic ring. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 16. All right, now I'm just going to pull on the tail just to close the circle. So now that we're at the last double crochet, we're going to insert our hook into the very first double crochet at the top of the stitch here. And then you're going to grab your red and you're just going to put it over your hook and leave yourself a tail, and you're just going to pull through both of the hoops on your hook. There we go. And then you're going to chain 3. 1, 2, and 3. So now that we chained the 3, we're going to work a double crochet at the base of this chain 3 space. So there we go. And here's our double crochet. Now we're going to be working in the front loops of each stitch, and we're going to be putting 2 double crochets. So yarn over, go through the front loop, and then you're going to yarn over and pull through, and then create your double crochet, and then yarn over, and you're going to insert your hook into the same chain space that you were just in, and then complete your double crochet. And you will do this the entire round. So the next front loop only, another double crochet, and then into the same space, another double crochet. So by the end of this row, you should have 32 double crochets. So yarn over into the front loop of the next stitch and put your 2 double crochets, and then again into the front loop, put your 2 double crochets. Feel free to pause at any time, and once you get to the end of the row, I will finish the last stitch with you guys. And now for my last 2. So again, I'm going to yarn over and insert into the front loop only and pull through 2, and then once more, and now I have my 32 double crochets. So the next thing to do is to insert your hook into the top of the first double crochet, and then just create a slip stitch so that you attach your round. All right, so now that we've done the first round, we're going to move on to the petals. So there are 3 rows of creating the petal. And so the first row is you're going to chain 3. So 1, 2, 3. So now that we have the chain 3, again in the same stitch, you're going to put in a double crochet into the back loop. All right, so there we go. So there's our first, and now we're gonna put 2 double crochets into the next 3 stitches, and again it's back loop, so back loop only, and we're going to be putting 2 double crochets into the back loops. So here's 1, 2, here's a second back loop double crochet, so there's 1 and 2, our third stitch, back loop only, and 2 double crochets again. Now we're going to do, in the next 4 stitches, we're going to work 2 double crochets. So just as normal. So you're going to have both loops there, and you're just going to put 2 double crochets into that same space. So there's 1, 2, 3, and 4. And our last double crochet. There we go. Now the next thing to do is in the next 4 stitches, you're going to work in the front loops, and again 2 double crochets. So we'll work in the front loops and 2, there's 1, 2, and 3. So again in the front loops, and the 4th. So front loop and 2 double crochets in the same space. All right. So now that I've done the first row, I'm actually going to put my stitch markers into the very first 4 that we've done, so that way I will know where they are for the end. So there's 1, 2, 3, and 4. All right, because we'll be working our last petal into those stitches. So now that I have my 4 stitches marked, I'm going to go to row 2, which is chain 3. So 1, 2, 3, and then you're going to turn, and then again in the same chain space, you're going to do a double crochet. And now you're going to put a double crochet in the remaining stitches. So there's 2, 3, so 4, 5, 6, 22, 23, and 24. All right, so now we have 24 double crochets, and now we're going to move to the last row for the petal. So you're going to chain 1 and turn, and you're going to do a single crochet into the base of the chain 1 space. So there's the first single crochet, and in the next 2 stitches you're going to do single crochets. Now we're going to add a little bit of height to the petal. So I'm going to do 6 double crochets into the next stitches. So here's 1, 2. So again, I'm just going into the next 6 stitches and I'm putting in a double crochet. So here's 3, 4, 5, and 6. There we go. And now I'm going to make it my petal even higher now. So I'm going to do a treble. So here's 1, and we're going to do into the next 6 stitches the treble. So there's 1, here's 2, three, so we have 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, and our last treble. 1, 2, There we go. Now we're going to be doing, in the next 6 stitches, we're going to be doing double crochets. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now we're just going to put 2 single crochets in the next 2 stitches. So in the next 2 stitches here, we're going to put the single crochet, and then in the last stitch, we're just going to do a slip stitch, so a slip knot, so that it keeps the row together. So here's 1 single crochet, 2 single crochets, and then into the last one, we're just going to create our slip knot. And then you can take your scissors and you can cut your yarn and then pull the yarn through and then just tighten it off. So that is the first petal. So we're going to be repeating these steps until we have all 4 petals. Essentially, when we start the next petal, we're going to be working at the back of the flower, and we're going to be working into the next, into the previous 4 stitches, I should say. So here's the 1, 2, 3, and 4. So we'll be working into those 4 stitches for our next petal. So I'm just going to grab my yarn and my hook, and I'm just going to insert my hook into the back of the petal. So here's 1, 2, 3, and 4. So you just insert your hook, you're going to yarn over, and you're just going to pull your yarn through, and then just leave yourself a small tail. And now you're going to do a chain 3. So 1, 2, 3, and then work your tail in as you go along. So again, we're going to put another double crochet into that same space, and now you'll have 2 double crochets. Then we're going to go to the next stitch, and again we're going to put 2 double crochets. So here's 1 and 2. And then once more, put my tail there and then into the back loop there, and then you're just going to do 2 double crochets into the same space. And the last back loop is right here. All right, so now we're going to do into the next 4 stitches, we're going to do double crochets. And so 2 double crochets into the next 4 stitches. So here's the first. So here's 1, and into the chain, the same chain space, there's 2. And I'm just going to cut this tail because it should be in there enough. All right, and a second. So here's 1 double crochet and a second double crochet into the same space. And now the third into the next stitch. So 2 more double crochets in the same space. And our fourth. and again 2 double crochets. So here's 1 and 2. Now that we've done our 4 stitches, now we're going to be working in the front loops of the next 4 stitches, and again you're going to be putting 2 double crochets. So here's 1, 2, and there's our first. Again into the next front loop, 2 double crochets. So there's 1 and 2. Into the third, so here's the front loop, and 2 more double crochets, 1 and 2, and now for our fourth, 1 and 2 double crochets. All right, now we're going to go to row 2, so we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and just turn your work. And now we're going to put double crochets into the entire row. So again, you're just going to yarn over and put a double crochet at the base here. And then you're going to make your way through the row, and you'll have 24 double crochets. So here's 2 and 24. Now for row 3. So we're going to chain 1 and turn. And we are going to put a single crochet into the base here. And then we're going to put a single crochet into the next 2 stitches. There's 1 and 2. And now into the next 6 stitches, we're going to put a double crochet, and 6. And now in the next 6 stitches, we're going to put a treble, and 6. Now in the next 6 stitches, we're going to be putting double crochets, and 6. And again, in the next 2 stitches, we are going to put single crochets. So 1 and 2. And then into the very last, you just put in the top of the chain 3 space, you just create a slip knot. And then you're just going to cut your yarn. And there's petal number 2. So now we're going to do petal number 3. And again, we're going to start at the back of your last petal, and we're going to be working into the 4 back stitches here. All right, so leave yourself a tail, and you're just going to yarn over and pull through. And again, you're going to chain 3. So 1, 2, 3, and then you're going to put a double crochet within the same chain space. And now we're going to go into the back of the next stitch. So here's another 2 double crochets into that space. 1 and 2, and you can keep working your tail in. So now the third. So there's the third, 1 and 2, and now for the fourth. and there we go, and 1 double crochet and the second double crochet. All right, and now you're going to do in the next 4 stitches, you're going to be putting in the 2 double crochets. So I'm going to do the first one and then cut my tail. So here's the first double crochet, and then in the same space, a second double crochet. And I'm just going to cut the tail. And now I'm going to put in the next 3 stitches 2 double crochets. So here's 1, 2, and 3. So that's a total of 4 stitches. Now in the next 4 stitches, you're just going to be working in the front loops. So again, yarn over, and then in the front loop, you're going to put 2 double crochets. So here's 1, 2. Now here's the second, 1 and 2 double crochets into the same space, 3, and 4. Again in the front loop and in the same space. All right, before we start row 2 of the petal, I'm just going to show you guys here. So here we have 1, 2, 3, 4 4 stitches left. So that means when we work on the back here, so we'll have our 4 here, then we'll have our 4 stitches here, and then completing it with the 4 in front here. So that will finish off your last petal. So now for row 2. So again, you're just going to chain 3 and turn, and you're going to put a double crochet in the same space, and you're just going to put a double crochet into the tops of each stitch. So once you get to the end of your row, I will meet you there. All right, so here we are at the last stitch. So I'm just gonna put my last double crochet, and I'm going to chain 1 and then turn. And so we're going to put a single crochet into the base of that chain 1. In the next 2 stitches, single crochets. All right, so now in the next 6 stitches, you're going to put double crochets. And 6. Now we're going to put 6 trebles into the next 6 stitches. And 6. Now we're gonna work in the next 6 stitches a double crochet. 6. In the next 2 stitches, you're going to put a single crochet. 1, 2. Now we're just going to put our last, so you just create a slip stitch in the last stitch, and then you just pull your yarn through and put a knot, and there is your third petal. So again, you're just going to insert your hook into the 4th, and then grab your yarn once more, and you're just going to pull through and you're going to create a chain 3. So here's 1, 2, and 3. And in that same space, you're going to add another double crochet. And into the next back loop, you're going to add 2 double crochets again, all while working in your yarn. So there's 2, and now the third back stitch. There we go, 1 and 2. And the fourth. So yarn over and go into the fourth back loop, and then create your 2 double crochets. And now I'm just going to do in the next 4 stitches 2 double crochets. So here's 1 and 2, and now I'm going to cut the tail off. All right, and in the next 3 stitches I'm going to work again 2 double crochets. So here's 1 double crochet and 2, oops, here's 3, and our 4th stitch with 2 double crochets, and there's the second. All right, now we can remove the stitch marker. So now I'm going to work 2 double crochets into the front loop here. So here's 1 and 2, and then I can remove the next stitch marker and then put 2 double crochets into the front loop. So here's 1 and 2, remove the next stitch marker, and again put 2 double crochets into that chain space. Oop, getting the, there we go. 1 and 2, and then a second double crochet, 1 and 2, and now into the last front loop I'm going to add 2 double crochets. So there's 1 and 2. All right, and that's the end of that row. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do row 2. So we're going to chain 3. So 1, 2, 3, and turn, and then we're going to be working in the tops of each stitch a double crochet. So again, at the base of the chain 3, you're just going to add your double crochet, and then a next stitch double crochet, and you're going to do that along the entire row, and I'll meet you back at the last stitch. All right, so now that we are at the last stitch, I'm going to put my double crochet, and I'm going to chain 1 and turn. So now we're going to put a single crochet at the base, and then another single crochet, and then our third single crochet, Now we're going to do the 6 double crochets and the 6th double crochet. Now we are going to put 6 trebles and 6. Now in the next 6 stitches, we're going to put double crochets, 5 and 6. And now we're going to put 2 single crochets, and then we're going to finish with a slip knot. 2 single crochets, and then we're going to go into the last top where the chain 3 spaces, and we're just going to create a slip knot. And then again, cut your tail. And now we can weave in all our ends. Today I'm just going to put a safety pin, which is super easy to put on. So because I'm using a safety pin, I'm just going to create a knot. All right, there we go. And then cut the tails. And now for the petals, what I do is I weave it in a few stitches, and then I just cut the tail off again. So yeah, so you're just going to put your needle through some of the stitches, and then once you've gone through a few, then just pull through, and then to make sure that it's really fastened, you can go back towards the other direction just to make sure that it's in there real nice. So I'm going to skip the first one, and I'm just going to go through a few of the ones at the base here, just like that, and then pull through, and then I'm just going to cut the tail. All right, so now that we finished weaving in our ends, we're just going to attach our safety pin. So you can just insert it anywhere onto the back of the poppy, and then just close it up, and there you go. So now we have our 4-petal poppy. Well guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. It's always appreciated. Please don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell. Until next time, happy hooking!